What's up, guys? Welcome to the most recent of ours. What a horrible intro that I just completely messed up. Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of the weekly recap.
There are no mistakes, just bad rolls.
There's always mistakes when it comes to me, Jacob. Have we not already established this? Alright, guys, this episode is going to go over episodes 5 and 6, which are currently up on YouTube. Episodes 5 and 6 in our campaign. And yeah, so today we've got Jacob, as always, our DM. We've got Zach, as always, our question guy slash guest slash head moderator slash modifier, as I messed up and said last week.
This intro just keeps getting better and better.
And then we've got we've got, thanks, Jacob.
What's his name?
We've got Brady.
What's his name?
We've got Brady, who's plays
Weeks we've been at this.
You've known Brady for years.
I just want to point out I messed this up when we're playing the game. I messed this up outside the game. I messed this up on these weekly recaps, and I'm sorry. I will get better.
Overall, words are hard.
Overall, guys, welcome back to this episode of the weekly recap. So, what we're going to go over today, episode 5. Basically, last week we talked about how we ended the dungeon, and that actually is not what happened. The very last part of the dungeon we finish in the very beginning of episode 5. So it's kind of like the final boss fight. Jacob throws us into this big room where there's... what was the boss, Jacob? What was the fight thing we had to fight in that room? It was like a
He had a
It was
name.
a Death Knight.
Yeah, it was a Death Knight. So we had to fight that in the room. We ended up beating it. You know, it was a pretty normal room for us. The biggest thing that happened out of that is something we'll discuss tonight. Zaigon got his main weapon, which is a maul. It's like a crazy maul that has like it had like these two little heads on it that changed whenever he picked it up, according to the fact that he was the one who picked it up. So then from there we decided to keep on going down to Westruun, and we ended up getting to a point where we were in like this little Gnoll village. It was a village, but like the people who were, I guess, patrolling were Gnolls. So
Always with the Knolls.
I know Jacob always wants to throw those Gnolls in. So we got through that. That was episode 5. After that fight, it was a pretty normal episode, just traveling through the woods, doing some normal travel-y stuff, and then we got to that little town. And then we stayed in the town. And then episode 6, I put a little intro on episode 6 if you guys haven't watched it. The lag in episode 6 is just atrocious. It's you have to kind of watch episode 6 as a podcast for the most part. It's not the best, but the main things in episode...
I blame Caleb.
I know, man. It actually, that one wasn't me. That was the fact that we were still using a laptop to stream, and yeah. Yup, that was it.
It was a learning curve, and we're getting there.
It was, yeah. Now we're getting a lot better. We just need to fix connections on a couple people. So basically, episode 6, we started off in that little town, and then we start heading to Westruun, and I think we end up picking up... we kind of like picked up along the way, not picked up, I guess met along the way, Abby's little sister, or Thea's little sister, who's Meryl, who becomes a pretty big part of the storyline once we get into episodes 7 through like I think almost 13 or 14. We see her around for a while, and then her guard, who I apparently didn't know spoke Abyssal, and I completely made him feel bad for speaking in Abyssal. The biggest things in episode 6 though are we end up getting to Westruun. Abby has her reunion with her little sister, and they kind of have a connection, and we find out that Meryl is going up to the college that we're heading to, that Anzu teaches at. Then we also find out, well, we don't find out, but Zaigon finds out that he has an old grandma, I believe it was, like the ghost of his grandma of his that...
It was Gam.
Yeah. Ghost of his grandma came to him and told him that his daughter was still alive. Something that I think he ended up telling the group a little bit later. It'll be a couple episodes before the group finds out about that. And then, yeah, so he has a dream about his Gam, who tells him about his daughter. And
Very, very distant.
Very distant, yeah. It was an old Gam.
I think the word Jacob used was super great grandmother.
Super great, yeah, something like that.
That sounds something I'd say.
Yeah. So from there, I think we just kind of like we did a little bit of shit in Westruun, and then we were like, okay, let's head up to the college. So we head up to the college, and we see these statues on the way up there that pretty much are all of the founders, and we find out that Anzu's actually one of the founders of the Cobalt Conservatory, and that is why that episode is called Anzu the Founder. It's a pretty big part for Anzu, but I didn't want to bring Hunter in this week because I think it's his stuff is coming up. He's got some pretty big storylines coming up, so I brought in.
Yeah, he's the main character for like the next 2 or 3 months of episodes.
Yeah, so I brought Brady in because he actually got his main weapon at the end of episode 5, and he has one of his first big dreams in episode 6. Yeah, so we find out Anzu was the founder. We find out that Thea's aunt was one of the founders of the college as well, and she actually got killed in the middle of a duel. At the very end of the episode, Anzu has a talk with his son. What's his son's name, Jacob?
Richter,
his son Richter, who also can shape change into a silver dragon and is the guardian.
but you guys do not know that
No.
until like recently.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't think our characters know that yet, other than Abby. Abby's character is the only one who still knows that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so...
Brady's like, what are we talking about? What?
Yeah, very end of the episode, that is what we find out. Anzu, his son, Richter, is the silver dragon that guards the college / school. It's not a college because there's a lot of very young children who actually study there. And yeah, so
yeah, I confuse it with a college sometimes because it's not like they're going anywhere afterwards.
Yeah,
so it's like
it's kind of a college because you grow up through the ranks there.
I mean, it's kind of like Harry Potter school where it's like, what do they do after Hogwarts? You know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's pretty much it on that episode. The other thing that happened in Anzu's conversation is that we kind of start that big storyline with him where we have to go kind of save all the students and stuff that comes in more recent episodes. But yeah, we see the first hint of that. Richter tells him, hey, this teacher went missing and a couple other people have gone missing. We need you to fill that spot. So Anzu becomes a teacher in the college or in the school again, as he's been missing from the school for a while. He left it for a while and now he's back, and we'll start his storyline next week. But let's go ahead and jump into episode 5 and 6. Zach, what is your first question for Jacob or the group that you have?
All right, so first question, Jacob, can you give us kind of a rundown on the significance of the Kobold Conservatory and kind of what that is?
So, so Hunter wanted to be like a headmaster or like a former teacher. So I needed him a place to teach. And I didn't want to do it in Iman because there is a school in Iman, but it's more of like older people, I guess. I guess that is what they do afterwards. But also, I know that I wanted to create something that I didn't think was in the world already. So we came up with the idea of making an extension of the Cobalt Reserve that kind of grew out of necessity because of the problems that have been going on in the world for like the last 200 years. So it just makes sense to have a school that is more central and more towards the east, so that all magic users in the continent can be trained. So like logistically, it makes sense.
So it's kind of, I mean, it's pretty much a Hogwarts, but for this little world that we have going.
Pretty much, yeah. It's just there to make sure that magical people get trained.
Good deal. Next question. This is more of a, I don't know, behind the scenes look, I guess. So in episode 5 and 6, kind of both Lochnar and Thea were kind of bouncing in and out. So what do you do kind of as a DM when players are kind of coming in and out? Do the players, or I guess do the characters still play through the session, or do you just kind of, I guess, what do you do with that?
A hard thing because when players aren't around, I don't really like to play their characters because I might make a decision for their character that they wouldn't. So usually, it's kind of like they're a warm body. Like they're there to experience the events, but they're not going to directly impact them. And I'll play their characters in fights, just because it's easier to do that than out of a fight, basically. So, but sometimes if I know someone's not going to be there, we'll do a narrative. Like there's a narrative reason for why they're not there. But it just depends.
Yeah, one of the biggest things we decided, and we didn't fully stick to this until after winter, and we haven't really had a problem with it, honestly, since we started streaming. But when we first started playing way back in September, we had like our full group, and we had Cannell at the time, not Michael. And we only played once every 2 weeks, and we played Saturday mornings at like 7 a.m. because we all had shit schedules. We had horrible schedules.
Crack of dawn.
And so we were like, okay.
We had like 5 hours though. We would play like 7 to noon.
We would play a long session, and we were like, hey, if we can have at least 4 of our players out of the 6 of us make it, we're playing that day. It doesn't matter if 2 of you guys can't make it. We are playing because like then we're waiting another month before we play again. So we did that, and that's kind of how I think that's still kind of a rule, unless there's a major event going on that concerns like a certain character, then there's not really a big deal. The one thing, this is just a little update, because I'm getting married this summer, we decided that the 2 weeks I'm going to be gone for the wedding and the honeymoon, Michael's actually going to run a 2-week, 2-part one-shot.
Yeah, we're going to bring in special guests. Not all of our players are going to be playing. I think the only one that's going to be playing from the main group is Abby, I think.
Yeah, and then you'll be taking over a player, and then Brady still has a choice on if he wants to play or not.
I think Zach, you're going to be playing, so that's exciting.
Zach's going to jump in. We'll organize all that later, but yeah, that's a little update for you guys. That's coming at the end of July, so.
Bet. So I guess we'll go to Brady now for a few questions.
Yes.
He's got to prepare himself, get a drink first.
So, in the little intro thing, it mentions Fraz Herblu. Is that how you pronounce it?
I believe so, yeah.
Perfect.
Who is that?
He is the demon that Zaigon has created a pact with. He's the one that gives Zaigon all of his powers, basically. He summoned him by accident, like I believe it also says in that little rundown that runs. And yeah, he's not a lot is known about him. He just pops up from time to time, and I think that's a big thing with Zaigon is he's always kind of quiet and in the background, and he's having a lot of conversations within his head. And I try and play that out a little bit. He's always talking to this demon that's kind of running the show, ultimately.
Yeah, freaking Jacob decides, hey, I'm going to take one of Brady's demon's underlings, which is a Baylor of the Abyss, and throw him into Caleb's head, or Animus's head. So now I've got one of the generals of Zaigon's...
They haven't talked yet.
No, yeah. Well, I know that I'm doing I have a pact with him, a deal with him, because I didn't want us to die, so that's all we know right now. We don't know if I actually am pacted to him for eternity or whatever. I hope not. I mean, that's not exactly how my character runs, so.
Yeah, so also the big thing about Fraz is that he is actually one of the demon lords. So he's like a boss of a lot of demons.
Yeah, I was trying to, whenever I was creating Zaigon, I was trying to find like a demon that I was trying to, who would I want to strike a deal with, so I figured go big or go home and go on the biggest, meanest.
Yeah, it plays well into the story, so.
So we already kind of mentioned it, but Zaigon's dream or vision with Gam Gam. So Zaigon did not tell the other characters about that dream. Why is that?
I believe, the way I see Zaigon as a character, I think he's kind of real standoffish. Like, the one time that he's tried to reach out and try and get some help was the time that he made this deal with the demon. And he doesn't really trust people, and he doesn't really have a lot of memories or anything after or before a certain point. So I think he's just, like I was saying earlier, I believe he's just kind of solitary, and he doesn't fully trust people. And like things that go further on in the episode with Caleb's character, I don't know. He's got suspicions about a lot of people, and just in general, he's a neutral evil character. That's his alignment. So I think he is just kind of plotting and seeing how things go.
He's currently the only full evil character in the group, playing as a neutral evil. And then my character is the only other close one, and that's even before whatever deal I made with a demon was. My character is kind of teetering on the edge just because of his background. So you got the two evil characters here in this session. So
now
somebody's got to do it, and I do think that sometimes whenever he like gets to drinking a little bit, or he finally starts to feel comfortable, he opens up every once in a while. Like I believe he's let it slip that he had a daughter that other people didn't know about.
Yeah,
things like that.
With Daryl at the
Daryl, dude,
party,
let's talk
right?
about
Love Daryl. Love Daryl.
All right, let's talk about
The
Daryl.
best barkeep.
Oh,
Best
man.
barkeep in all the country.
All right, Brady, from your perspective, who is Daryl? Where did he play into the story for you?
I don't know. It was just he just seems like the kind of guy that just doesn't give a shit, which is ultimately just right up Zaigon's alley. He's gonna like spit in your drink. He'll do anything, and Zaigon just really picks up on that kind of vibe, I think.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, I think we saw the last of Daryl in episode 2 or something. He was in Whitestone. He was a bartender at this shitty tavern that we were staying at, and that's where Zaigon met him. And they just, man, there's one point where you guys are both sitting there and you're like talking about your family and kids and stuff, and you're both like, huh. At the same time, Jacob's like, you both sit there and you're just like doing this. You're just like, like, looking down.
Yeah, I think they both kind of have their guards up, and just being in this party with everybody. I believe, like Caleb was saying, everybody is pretty much on the side of good, with Caleb's character kind of coming around to the good side here.
It's
but
yeah, it's hard because I don't know. I, as a character, have actually kind of struggled with trying to get my character to, like, like, at least make it feel like we're all friends. Because we've been traveling for, like, we're around 6 months now. Like, in game time, like, we're, like, around 6 months at this point.
in game, it's been about 3 or 4 months.
I think it's been more than that, because it took us like a month and a half to get up to Whitestone. Then we were in Whitestone for a
So
month.
yeah, and then going from Whitestone, it's been like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, so we're pushing 5 to 6
maybe
months.
5.
Yeah. So, and like everyone out, like Lochnar and Anzu get along. Thea and Braun get along. Everyone trusts Braun because Michael's playing him as a very, like, almost lawful character. I think he's lawful.
sure.
And like, I'm sitting here like I'm really trying to get these guys to trust me. Like, I gave Thea this like medallion that like can help you read minds if you want to do that. Like, I'm like, hey, like, guys, I am trustworthy even though I know I have a sketch background, and I feel like I'm in the same place as Zaigon is on who actually trusts me or not, because I don't know. I don't feel like our group has a great connection yet. We're just kind of doing stuff because we just kind of keep being like, yeah, this is kind of like where our characters are going with this. So
I think it's that there's solidarity in numbers, and you guys tend to have similar goals.
yeah,
Sure.
There's eventually gonna be a point where decisions are gonna have to be made. Because I know, like, Abby and I have talked about this. It's like she is very suspicious of you too. So like there's some stuff that needs to be kind of flushed out with the group.
I was pretty sure I told her most of what I thought I knew, and now I don't know anything. So, like, as much as I want to tell her stuff, I don't really want to tell anyone everything. I haven't told anyone everything, and neither has Zaigon, so...
I haven't told
Yeah,
either
exactly.
of you
And that's
everything.
a big thing is Zaigon doesn't really fully know or remember, so it kind of works out that way. That he has to be this mysterious kind of guy.
Well,
But
yeah,
getting back to your question, I think that Daryl is just kind of almost like a birds of a feather, kind of doesn't give a fuck attitude.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I think towards the beginning of Zygon getting introduced to the group, I think like he and Lochnar were hitting it off because Lochnar also kind of doesn't care and he's very violent and stuff, so that automatically appealed to him. But as it goes along, they don't really have a lot to connect with. And then Animus has made some decisions that kind of grab Zygon's attention, and I think he finds a little solidarity in that. Especially towards the end of the episode.
I mean, now, I haven't played into this yet because we didn't really have time last episode, but Animus will probably be looking to Zaigon a little bit in the future now that I'm in a weird memory situation and stuff, so...
yeah.
I will say, coming up on this next arc, it's probably going to be heavy on Zaigon.
Oh boy.
Dope.
Oh no.
There's going to be a lot of character growth, I think.
Dude, I'm still waiting.
I've been excited for that.
I'm still waiting for Jacob to throw in this stupid person that I'm like the first person I'm supposed to kill or whatever that's on my list of people that the Baylor's trying to get me to kill. Because he still hasn't brought her in yet. Like, what was her name? We keep forgetting.
What's with Fredericks?
Yeah. Man. Zach, do you have anything else for Brady?
Yeah. So you got the Great Mall. Is that what it's called?
It's got a longer name, but generally it's just the mall is what I'll call it and refer to it as.
We'll call it the mall. You've been kind of secretive of what it can do. So I guess what can you tell us that it does?
Well, it's really powerful, and there's a lot of good and a lot of bad that it can do, which is why I've still been relying on my Eldritch Blast as the campaign goes on, because I'm a little apprehensive about using it. But it's just this really powerful weapon that it's got some things like blood must flow, where it hungers for blood of its enemies, and after, like, I think in episode 5, the what is the knight, the death knight, is that what it was? Yeah, you can see as it starts swinging and it attacks Zaigon specifically, like, it'll soak up that blood and it'll regenerate their health. It'll, in fact, do, like, double damage once you've already taken some damage and stuff like that. And it gets pretty good, and it also has some secret abilities that I don't know if I'm fully willing to put out there just yet.
It has
but
some secret.
Things have been put into motion.
Just another little fun fact about them all. I picked it up first, and Jacob handed me that card first, and I read that card, and I was like, no, and I gave it to Zaigon.
You beat me to it because, like, right after we killed him, you were like, I'm gonna go pick it up, and I was like, I wanted it.
Yeah.
You ended up giving it to me.
Well, yeah, there's, like, number one, I couldn't use it, and also I like to I like to try to give, like, characters, like, even if it is something powerful, I'm not just gonna stash it. I want to give, like, everyone, like, what fits their character most. Like, I think some of the things that we definitely have worked on over time is, like, a lot of times when something drops, like, we don't play the flavor, is what a lot of people will say, of the story. We don't, like if we kill something, we're like, oh, I'm gonna run over there and I'm gonna loot them right away so I can get everything before everyone else. I think something we've gotten a little better on is, like, kind of holding off that a little bit, even though we still do it. But yeah, it's really
cool, man.
Yeah, it's hard to get off that when you kind of, like, you don't know what other people in the group are gonna do. A lot of us weren't like from D&D backgrounds, so we almost played it like a video game where, like, if you're in Skyrim and you kill something, you're checking the body before you move on or something like that.
Sure.
And if you're
so what I will say, sorry about that, Caleb.
No,
what I will say
that was it, pretty much.
About the mall and kind of about magical items in general. I usually like to design them for 2 characters. or super specific ones that only one character can use. Like Animus is the only one that can use the Ring of the Shaman because it is a druid item.
And I don't have it on right now, so.
Yeah, but like that Maul, I was thinking it'd be cool if Zaigon gets this, but it would also be cool if Lochnar gets this. So
I bet he would really benefit from having it, and it'd be interesting to see how that would play out.
He could do some serious damage with that thing.
We got to see his storyline pop out a little more, and another thing that I think our group needs to get good at is like, I think when we jump into situations, it's like we're kind of we all want to kind of do our own thing. And we all want to kind of like just jump into storylines and stuff, and it's really hard to kind of like for all of us to stop ourselves and be like, okay, wait, like me as Animus, I just got like a whole episode to myself. Like I need to kind of step back and just play a support character and be like the okay guy in the background and be like, hey, like I'll just kind of walk around the city, I'll buy what I need to do, but whoever's storyline is up, I'm gonna let them play that storyline out. And it's kind of hard to do that because like you're playing a game that you're invested in for 3 hours a night every week, and you're like, oh, I want to get as much as my time in right now. And I think that's another thing that we've definitely got better on. That it's also something we need to continue getting better on, is trying to kind of like number one for story flavor and for storytelling. It's a lot better if you're sitting there and you're like allowing someone else's storyline to play out to its fullest, and like everyone is able to jump in there and be like, oh man, like getting really emotional into someone else's storyline. Like Anzu's storyline, I think we all got into it in some way, and Jacob was able to build different parts in where it caught all of our characters' attention and stuff. And then now we have a small thing coming in on Lochnar. With like he's kind of getting his first like big like, hey, this is all about you, this pit fight thing. And then,
I had a really good idea for like, this is kind of behind the scenes, but like I did not have planned who the second fight was until today, and now I know exactly what it is.
Oh man.
And I am so excited.
But yeah, that's just some insight for like for some of you guys who may like be wanting to play D&D, or maybe wanting to start like a group of D&D, or even just getting to join a D&D group. That's definitely something that's everyone needs to work on, unless you're just playing like just for shits and gigs. Like you definitely want to give that extra like storytelling ability, because that's the thing that makes you like hit a wall when like something big happens. You're like, oh shit, like my character's about to die, or like, oh shit, my wife is like dead and like I just figured that out or something, and you're like, you actually get emotional in real life and stuff. So that definitely something we're still working on.
Saw you getting emotional last week.
Me?
Yeah.
Which part?
The Saturday stream, you were freaking out.
Fuck, dude. Jacob keeps blowing my mind. He keeps blowing my mind with some of the stuff that he throws. And I really thought that I had everything figured out about my character, and Jacob's like, no, fuck you. So
you had nothing figured out.
No.
You know nothing, Johnson.
Your character really, really fascinates me, just because like I think I have him pegged for a while, and then he'll just do something random, like make a deal with the demon, and I'm like, well, okay. And then Zaigon's getting a bad rap by like Thea throughout this entire campaign.
Yeah, like by
you've got Animus over here.
Well, both Anzu and Thea are like sitting here being like, oh, I don't like that Zaigon guy, like. And I'm trying to sit here like,
right.
Don't worry, guys, he's cool. And then I go out and I'm like, here's a demon. How about we make a deal? So
yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with my character. I think Zaigon and Animus are pretty close. I think one person that I'd say holds it together would be Braun, kind of, because he's a very, like, he doesn't really have a side on like, oh, like you know, they're bad and we're good or something like that. So I don't know, but well, it's interesting to see what's going to happen. Zach, do you have any more questions?
Checking notes.
One for, I guess, the group. Where did the name Flagon Slayers come from?
Oh boy.
Oh, Brady. It came from Brady.
Was it?
Killed it.
Yeah,
knocked her out of the
park. It was. All right. Yeah, you can
So they started out. The party started out as the Morning Guys, and I didn't like that name.
Well, hold
So
on.
I made fun of it in game every chance I got. And eventually the party started to not like it. So I was like, we need to figure out a
And
new
we also
name
stopped
for
playing
you
in the
guys.
morning.
We did. We stopped playing in the morning. Also, our original
Yeah.
stream name was Breakfast Rolls.
Breakfast Rolls.
Because we played in the morning.
Which
We were
I
like,
love.
that. It sounds cool. It's a play on words. Like, Abby hated it. It was so cool. I loved it. It was amazing. And
I mean, we might still use it in the future for other things because it
Maybe
still
others.
relates to. It's still kind of tangential. Anyway, so we were like, what name are we gonna do? What name are we gonna do? Because we were starting to gain a little steam on Twitch, so we wanted to have a better name. And then Brady's like, what about Flagon Slayers? And we were like, that's pretty good. Because one big thing is like, what do? We play D&D and we drink.
Yup.
Exactly.
So it's like,
Flagon
I always try to have
Flagon
at least one.
We had, I think we were like going through a huge list, and it was we went through probably like 30 or 40 names that
I'd say
week
like
alone.
20 to 30, yeah.
Yeah, and then like I don't even think when we landed on Flagon Slayers, I don't think everyone was like, yes, that right away. And then like after like a couple more days, we were like, Flagon Slayers sounds really good actually. And then we all were on board, and we're like, yep, Flagon Slayers it is. So, yeah,
The logo was cool, and like
Yeah, I really fell in love with that logo. It looks really nice.
Hunter ended up creating that logo for us. Me and Jacob kind of drew some random stuff on a board one day when we were in class, but we were able to leave the class and like go mess around and like practice for something else. And we drew on a board like a couple different sketches, sent them to Hunter, and then Hunter jumped on Photoshop and just kind of popped that out. And yeah, it was a really. I love that. It's such a cool logo, but
yeah, between all of us in person drinking and Lochnar just like always chugging down ale, it worked out.
Yeah, I mean we still all grab a drink or two on stream.
I'm the only one that really doesn't.
Yeah,
because your DM should stay sober, in my opinion.
When I DM,
honestly,
I'll probably have 1 or 2 beers, and that's probably it. But yeah, DM definitely needs to have a clear mind. For the whole thing.
Just get drunk and spiteful and start killing everybody.
Just kill everyone.
Meteors fall from the sky. Everyone dies.
LOL.
Yeah. So kind of a tease for what we're getting into in the next arc.
This is
Zach,
also...
do you have any more questions?
No, I got all of them done.
Okay.
This is also for people who may be watching this like in the future sometime. We are recording this weekly recap for episodes 5 and 6, but we are up at like episode like in the teens, somewhere in the high teens. So you're just like, that's just, sorry that we're jumping a little bit.
So the next arc is going to be focused on the main city of Amon, and some stuff will be revealed about Zaigon, pretty much. Like, there's gonna be a lot. If you're into Zaigon's character, you're gonna need to tune in because he's gonna have a lot of character growth. But
I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, but I think we're good. If no one else has anything else to add.
Yeah, that's nice little simple episode. Still long, still.
Yeah,
the same,
5 and
still
6 aren't really big story episodes. They're more setup.
But
so.
I mean, the only big person it really involves is Zaigon, which is why Brady's here tonight. So we will 100% be seeing Brady in the future. His character has already. We have so many more questions about him, and he has a lot more to offer. So. And yeah, so next week we're hoping to have, if I can do it next week, we're hoping to have Hunter on. I should be able to do it from Florida. I'll be in Florida next week on a family vacation, but yeah, I should be able to do it.
If not, I think if you can't, then Caleb will, then Michael will probably sub in.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna give Michael all the stuff, just in case. He'll probably run the stream this Sunday. But yeah, so next week.
Regardless, we will be on next week.
Yeah. So next week, Hunter will be on. We'll be talking about Anzu, because what's coming up this week is episodes 7 and 8 are going to be on YouTube, and they really jump into Anzu's story. It really, I think, the Cobalt Conservatory and that whole story arc was really fun for all of us to play. I don't think any of us had any complaints or any bored points in it, because it was just always like bam, 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 we're doing something, we're killing something, it was. So yeah, episode 7 and 8 coming out this week, and then next week, weekly recap on Wednesday with Hunter, and then this Sunday, make sure to check out our stream. Check out our streams every Sunday. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.